So question 3 of the Chrp 10 June 2023 paper 3A says employee performance at Zeal Technologies has been on a decline. Analyze the factors that may account for this situation. So the performance has been on decline. Now we want to have a look at what could be some of the reasons. What could be some of the factors that could have caused the decline in the performance of employees? Number one, they might have unclear or unrealistic expectations. Remember, we've talked about goal setting theory in our second question, and we say that sometimes employees are guided by the goals that the company puts in place. When you're coming up with the goals and objectives, remember we have a certain adherence that we need to look at, like the issue of SMART technique. Ensure that the goals and objectives you come up with are very simple, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. So if the goals and objectives of the organization do not follow this particular format, then chances of you not achieving the goals will be. So you might not be meeting the goals, you might not be performing, you might be like declining in terms of performance, but that could be the reason. Just basically because the goals and objectives that you've given yourself are not realistic. That is why you have that number one. The goals are unclear or you have unrealistic expectations. That can make you to decline in your performance. Every time you try to make you try to make the ends to meet, you fail. Every time you try to hit up with the deadline, you fail. Every time you want to meet up with a certain target, you fail. Your performance keeps on declining. Your performance keeps on deteriorating. Some of the reason or the first reason you can give is having unclear and unrealistic expectations. Number two, you might not be getting the necessary motivation that you want. That is why your performance keeps on. You keep working hard. You come to your work very early. You dedicate all your energy and effort. But when it comes to payment, the boss maybe, for example, pays you late, or maybe does not pay you what you had basically agreed earlier on, keeps on postponing some amounts and so on and so forth. That can make the performance of the employees too. So another reason that the performance of the employees of that certain company could be declining could be they are not motivated. Another reason, they might lack the knowledge or skill to do that job. So you're doing that job, but you don't have the exactly skills or knowledge needed for you to do that job perfectly. So you might think that you're doing things in the right way, but at the end of the day, no, you're not doing them in the right way. So you're not able to meet up with the objectives. You're not able to perform. You're not able to become productive. Each and every time you work, things are not working out. That could be a reason. It could be you're lacking a certain skill. It could be you're lacking the necessary knowledge that you need for you to do that job very well in order for you to perform. That is another thing. Number four, we can talk of a job is a poor fit. You have the right man but placed at the wrong job. The right man with good qualifications, with good experience, with good exposure, with the skills and abilities needed, but placing him in the wrong job. Poor fit. That can also make the performance of employees too. So maybe during the recruitment, such things are not considered, and people ended up to be placed at the jobs that they cannot do well. They had good qualification, but now they're placed at a wrong job. That can also make a performance to decline. We have number five, lack of resources. When you don't have the necessary resources, maybe you're given some few time, you need 2 hours to do a job, you're given only half an hour, or maybe you need to be two of you so that you can help each other because the job is so involving, you are alone, or maybe sometimes you might need the money to shop some important equipment, you're not getting the money on time. All of these factors could lead to declining in performance of employees. So lack of resources, and then lastly, personal issues. Sometimes you might have a personal issues. You carry them from home, bring them at work. You fail to perform. So you end up losing, you end up performing poorly every time, just basically because you're frustrated because of family issues, you are stressed over family issues, maybe health-wise you're disturbed, and so many more. There are so many reasons, personal reasons, that can make you to fail to perform, of which that is what the question was looking for. So these are some. There could be many, but these are just but a few that can make performance to decline. So that is number 3, or question 3A. And then question 3B, we have explain the measures that an organization may put in place to promote equity and fairness among employees. What is it that the organization can put in place to ensure that employees are treated equally, employees are treated fairly, no discrimination, no favorism of any kind, but people are just treated as one? Number 1, the first thing the organization can understand, can put in place, is to ensure that they understand and promote the importance of equity. So does the organization understand the importance of equity? Because if it does not understand the importance of equity, that is when they'll start discriminating and favoring others. But when the organization ensures that the platform or the environment in the organization, everyone in the organization really understands what equity is and how important it is to the organization, then that is the first step. The organization could embrace equity and fairness towards employees. Number 2, the organization should also evaluate and improve the equity practices. Maybe the equity practices within the organization are still down. Maybe you've not basically taken it as an important issue. You've not taken it as an important thing that you need to embrace and basically do it accordingly. So if the organization is not in a position to understand or to improve the practices as far as equity is concerned, definitely employees will be discriminated. But if the organization evaluates and improves the equity practices within the organization, then that means you're going to treat all the employees fairly, equitably, and just. And then you have set diversity and inclusion goals. Yes, ensure that the culture or the organization culture, the company culture, embraces the different people that are there in the organization. When you talk of diversity and inclusion, this is an emerging issue that most organizations are looking forward into. Why? Because organizations are employing people from different backgrounds, people from different races, people from different ethnicity, and this is the reason as to why your culture needs to support that. You cannot have a culture that supports one ethnicity and does away with the other. There will be no equity. There will be no fairism, what you call fairness. Basically, because you only allow a certain ethnic group and the other one you discriminate it. But at least when you ensure that the goals and the organization, the goals and objectives of the organization and the company culture basically embraces diversity and inclusion, then you can be rest assured that all the employees will be same, they'll be treated same and very much fairly. And then also implements bias training. Ensure you initiate training programs, and the main aim of you initiating these paid training programs basically because you want people to come and get training as far as the issues to do with equity and fairness is concerned. If you see there's a lot of biases within the organization, let these people go to training so that they can understand the importance of equity and fairness, so that they can do away with the issue to do with biasness, because biasness is what brings unfairness and equity within the organization, inequity within the organization. So ensure that you implement training. Your employees or all the people within the organization in all levels, the management level, the middle level, the low level, all of them should go for training so that they can understand about issues to do with equity and fairness. And then also the organization could review and revise the company policies. Maybe the policies that you're having are not basically embracing equity and fairness. Maybe the rules and policies that are in place are the ones that are misleading you to become a person who is not fair and a person who is not treating people equally. So the moment you understand that, do whatever it takes, even if it means to revise, to review and revise, to change the policies of the organization for that aspect, then go ahead and do it. So that is also another thing that the organization can do to ensure that equity and fairness is basically established within the organization. So we also have number 6 and 7. The question is only looking for 5 marks. So we've gone up to number 5. Maybe you can just start number 6. The rest you can revise them within your ample time. And then you have implement blind recruitment practices. Blind recruitment practices is a kind of a practice that can also help you do away with equity and fairness. Do away with deal with equity and fairness in the right way possible. When you talk of blind recruitment practices, this is where you recruit people not noting their names, not looking at their names, not looking at their ethnicity, not looking at their anything that will make you know this is so and so. So by doing so, you'll just be giving a fair treatment. Whether there's your relative therein, whether there's your uncle, whether there's somebody you know, you'll not be able to identify that. But just doing the recruitment process, knowing that these are just the same people who need the job, so let's do the recruitment in a very fair way so that everybody could get a chance in a very fair way, but not through this is my aunt, this is my own, through bribery, something like that. So that can also help when it comes to equity and fairness. So you can put such practices in place. When you want to recruit people, ensure you use this method so that you can make sure that people will get the chances very fairly without any sort of biasness. So this plus many other more. You see, we have even up to 8 points. Our question is only looking for 5 and explanations, and you get it. So get it right or get to be able to get the 10 marks that you're looking for. So that is question B. Thank you. Let's meet in our next question, which will be question 4.